Okay, so this is MNS 205, Introduction to Quantitative Methods for Business. I worked with Paul Repicki and Nelson Altamirano on this one. So this course is a little bit different than the other ones that went through the cycle. We used a LTI integration tool called WebAssign from Cengage. So as you can see, there's these blocks like this. These are like part of the integration tool, WebAssign. So I'll just walk through what I've added in this course. Under getting started, we added a navigating the course item. So I made a video going through all the different items in the course and showing the students how to navigate it. This is the welcome introduction page. I added a video here that I made. It has all the course learning outcomes here. Here's the syllabus. I also included another link to the syllabus that's a doc so that the instructors can update it. This is the course timeline. So this is all the due dates for all the activities in the course or module. And this is an instruction on how to use WebAssign, how for the students to actually get into using it. And these are the links. This one right here is the link to the ebook. These links won't show right now because the course isn't running yet, but it looks like this. This is WebAssign. So we have all the assignments here that are linked in the course, and the resources. Lessons are all under here, a bunch of videos and stuff. So also added a few things for the instructors. There's the instructions for the instructors to start using the course. This is a little bit more information for the instructors, the faculty guide that we created. And this is a little bit more information on some of the discussions. This is for the instructors so they know how to evaluate one of the discussions. And here's the module. This is the same structure for each module. We have a learning resources, lessons, practice, which is from WebAssign, discussion, which is native to Brightspace, more WebAssign links, homework and quiz, and then the wrap up, which is just concluding the module. So looking at one of these, this is what the structure is. I used an accordion to create the different sections of the learning resources. So these are all like PowerPoints that are related to the chapters. And the lessons has a lot more links. So there's a list of the videos that you would have to access on WebAssign here. This is what it looks like in WebAssign. So like if you go here, this one is whole numbers, 1.1, 1.2. Oh my gosh. So this is how you would access it on WebAssign. The videos are here in 1-1, 1-2. And the discussions, this is the native discussion. So if you went to the discussion section, you'd see all the discussions for the course. Here they are. And that's mostly the structure for each of the modules. It's the same. The only difference is instead of a quiz on the fourth module, we have an exam, final exam. So we can't view these straight from here right now, but this is what what each assignment looks like. So we can open up like a practice. And this is just integrated into Brightspace, so it automatically grades and sends to Brightspace. But these are like the different questions that you'd see in the course.
So Alex, will this be embedded into the LMS rather than it being shunted out to a different window, or are they still getting shunted out to a different window?
Yeah, so when you click on one of these, it says click here to open your content and it goes to Cengage.
It's
Okay.
because of the type of integration. So different tools or different courseware, some of them are within the frame and some of them aren't. I just wanted to explain too that that's not the beautiful course is what Alex created, and that super awkward 1990s looking piece is the actual publisher courseware. So don't blame us for that user interface. Alex integrated it very well into what you're seeing. But yeah, if this was a more modern LTI integration, we could actually put it in the frame.
Yeah, but in this case, we couldn't do that. So it just takes you out to the Cengage. But that's why we included like little instructions in the lessons that show you what it looks like inside WebAssign. But that's the best you can do with this tool. So that's how it went.
I have a
But that's
whole
basically
rant
it.
on tools, just so y'all know, if you
Yeah.
ever want to hear it one day.
And in certain topics, obviously, these sorts of practice lessons really are best deployed with third party, with web. They don't all look like WebAssign, but we don't create, how do you say, like, we don't want to create adaptive mathematics engines. That's we're not software developers to that extent. So there are those third party resources that we have to deploy.
I think Dawn was asking about proctoring options for assessments for math formulas.
I had two questions. One was if there's any proctoring option available for the assessments for the math related things, because we know that our students cheat on all their math assessments because there are apps for that. The other thing was I wanted to know what happened when you clicked on course resources at the top, Alex.
Oh yeah, so we're still figuring this out because this was like this is where it goes to LibGuides and the NCU courses.
Yeah.
But in this one, I think we're still figuring out. I think we're trying to have it go to an NU LibGuide instead.
Okay,
But
because
we were trying to remove that before because we didn't have any LibGuides from NCU attached to this course. So
right, because
that's one of
the
the last
physics
things.
course that we're working on goes to an NCU graduate level education. Yeah, the same thing. It
Yeah,
doesn't
the
have
same thing
anything
here.
to do with the course.
Yeah,
Right.
and there's that whole upper nav bar. Actually, we need to look at that over time once we are able to build more courses in that format, because it's really duplicative navigation, right? It's not very directionally clear to students, like what's content versus course resources versus coursework. It's very sort of duplicative and not clear. So that's
Right.
one of the things that we're going to need to sort of sort through. We used to call it emptying the junk drawers, right? Like anything that's duplicative, you don't need 15 wrenches. Well, unless you're my husband, then you think you need 15 wrenches. But those are the sort of things that definitely needs to be part of the roadmap moving forward. We are aware of that. Yeah. It's not the way it will ultimately be.
Yeah. So in the
Can I request can I request that everyone mute themselves? That would be great. And then except for Alex. Go ahead, Alex.
So yeah, in this navigating the course video, I just the only things that they're going to be really clicking on is the content and the discussions here. Because there's no assignments or quizzes that are native to Brightspace in this case, because they're all on WebAssign. So I just said, content, discussions, and grades. So that's it. But you can see here, like it's using the LTI integration tools for grading. It's like connected that way. And these are set up as bonus points for each module.
So it does have grade pass back, Alex?
Yeah,
From
it's
the
integrated
WebAssign,
with,
it integrates it in? Okay.
Yeah. So once they take it, it just comes to Brightspace and automatically grades.
Yeah, definitely. As Sherry just put in to reach out to Brian about proctoring options. I have worked with, and Sherry has worked with a number of these. Probably Brian has worked, Trent has worked. There's similarities with all of them now because of the improvements in sort of machine monitoring, but they all have advantages and disadvantages. But yes, they exist. That ability absolutely exists.
And then we also have Respondus, which is just a lockdown browser option, which might be more reasonable than trying to actually do proctoring. So Brian can talk to you about those options.
Yeah, this is Nelson. Can you hear me? Good. The way we design this and why we pick a publisher like Cengage is that every student gets a different homework and every student gets a different questions for the quiz. Then that way, more or less, we minimize cheating and minimize plagiarism. Then in the case of homework, for instance, if a student logs in, goes to the homework, if they need some help, they get help from the publisher when they are doing the homework in WebAssign. And if they submit the homework, they get immediate grade and immediate hints about what were the answers that were not good. And the way we set it up is to say, if they are not happy with the grade, then they can come back and do it again if they want. But when they come back, they get different questions. I mean, same type of questions, but different numbers to calculate. Then we give this opportunity to students to go at least, if they want to do it up to 10 times, it's fine for us because homework is just a homework. In the case of the quiz, of course, they don't come back to redo the quiz. We don't have that option, but every student gets different questions. Then that way we were minimizing the use of proctoring because we don't have the resources to do that.
Yeah, and there's some interesting, there's sort of multiple dimensions to the cheating issue, right? So one is taking a test, but another is identity verification, making sure even if the person is authentically and really taking the test, that they're the person they say they are, right? So, and then there used to be like sort of even signing on biometric IDs or biometric signatures. You've probably heard of some of those things. It's not, I wouldn't say that the industry has settled on the best solution for that, but exactly what you were just talking about in terms of randomized questions, time restrictions on tests, there are ways to make it more difficult. I would say that it's the topics that are most at risk are ones that rely heavily on courseware, like mathematics or science, right? Because you have to assess in a certain way at a certain point versus project-based learning. Some of the other options, which are a little bit harder to not have academic integrity in.
Yeah, so that's everything in the course that I have to share.
Thank you, Alex.
Great, Alex.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Guys.
Chris, why don't you reach out also to Brian? There are some templates that exist. Moving forward, we're going to want to sort of maintain the new courses more consistently. So not to like have code out there that folks can put in themselves, but rather during the design process, putting that in on the front end. But several of the team had worked directly with D2L in order to get some of those specifically designed for NU and CU.
Thank you. And I think we are going to pass it off. Melanie McNew, are we passing it on to you for the next course?
Sure, absolutely.
Take it away.
I shall do my best. All right, hopefully everybody can see my screen. This is a course, full confession, was in the closeout cycle. And I worked with this with Dr. Ennis and Dr. Gorney from School of Technology. And this is TIM 5120 Technical Communication, which is a course that I think has probably a strong likelihood of being able to be used cross-discipline, just because of what the topic matter is. But I'll just take you on a quick tour. This is an NCU course. It's a master's level course, and this is the course homepage. It's slightly different setup when compared to what we were seeing in Alex's course, but I'll take you into content. Those of you that know me know that I like symmetry and I like everything to match. So hopefully I did an okay job here, but I'm going to head into the course content and I'll just talk a little bit about the way that I approached it. I kind of wanted all of the modules to have a consistent appeal to the student visually, so that there were some visual triggers when they went from module to module. So I just went and repeated the simple homepage elements from mod 1, mod 2, mod 3, mod 4. Full disclosure, it's an 8-week course, so you'll see lessons here in addition to the modules. So I started out with that as kind of a, a core basis to begin with. But as far as the getting started, a lot of what Alex already showed you. We did take the opportunity here to capitalize a little bit more on the welcome than we typically had in the past in NCU courses. So we did our welcome video that introduces the student to what they can anticipate in the course. And then in addition to some text, we also put some interactivity here as well, using Storyline, just a really simple interactive to take a lot of kind of introductory text and terminology and just present it to the student in a more engaging way. So this is a little beefed up in comparison to some of the welcome or getting started areas that we typically see. And then it's just a lot of the same things that we see: the course syllabus, the course timeline. Again, very similar here. I don't want to bore you to tears. Nice learning resources here. NCU does, of course, connect to the LibGuide. So we're just reminding students that we see this, at the top. The dog is growling now, of course. So I do apologize for that. You'll probably hear him bark soon. And then we do a signature assignment or a final assignment preview. So we took the opportunity to introduce that very early to the student. I did see, and I might be, but I probably shouldn't bring this up, but I'll just bring it up very quickly. I saw it in a vertical with the Dropbox assignments in the lessons format. Unless you go into student view, it's hard to, for a faculty member to see the instructions for the Dropbox assignments. So actually, Kathy, who is one of my peers, she said, well, why don't we come up with just an instructor resource that is just the assignment text, and instructions and point values, so that as a faculty member, I have this, I can print this out, I can pull it up anytime I need to, just so that I'm aware of what the next upcoming assignment is without having to kind of dig through the Dropbox and student view to see it. I'm off topic, so let me get back on topic. Here's module 1 in the introduction of the learning objectives, learning resource reminder there. And then these are just some of our lessons. Again, I like things that match. So all throughout module 1, I use the same kind of graphic. I'm very intentional in the graphics that I select. I want to make sure that, we have good representation. So basically, just to kind of differentiate it, when we go from the welcome into the actual lesson, it's the same picture with just, additional fade out on it to kind of keep the learner on track with where they are. So I did that throughout the module, keeping the same kind of, look and feel to it so that the student would know that they were in the right place. Because I think if you're taking a couple of different classes, if you have different graphics in each thing, it becomes very kind of visually confusing for a student, for lack of a better way to say it. Here's one where we did a lot of, figures that we put in. We're talking about APA, so we hope our APA is right in the course, right? And then we did have, I have to find it, module 3, lesson 5, I do believe, APA. We had an opportunity where we wanted to engage the student into, common figures like charts and so forth. And, when do we use a specific type of chart? So we kind of all came to an agreement this would be a good idea to use a RISE element. RISE is part of the articulate suite, and we have that in our toolkit. So I'll just launch this in a separate window. But basically, this gave us the opportunity to do some things that D2L cannot easily do. And I think that that's always a good time to look to RISE when you want something to stand out, or simply the LMS doesn't inherently have the capabilities to do what you need it to do. So one of the things that we wanted to do was to actually give students a good idea of when to use a chart and what the particular areas of the chart mean. So RISE has these, call out features that you can really take an image and kind of point and draw some life on it and let students know the basic terminology. So this worked out really well for our needs to be able to capture this and kind of display it to the student in a very easy and user-friendly way. The other thing where it really helped us out to use RISE, I mean, not only is RISE cool looking, of course, it's very easy to build in, but it also has some features that, like I said, the LMS just simply doesn't. Oh, your heads are all the way. Let me move them once. Here she's talking about, what would be a good way to display this particular type of data, and there were multiple ways. So they allow for an image carousel to be very easily put together. And instead of just blasting students with, picture after picture after picture in a vertical format in the LMS, it just made more sense to do it this way. And obviously we allow these storyline and RISE elements to open in their own window so that the student gets the full experience outside of the LMS. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, we're seeing some of the NCU classes come across now in the new format. I appreciate that all of you are giving your feedback, and we're making some improvements each cycle. So I don't know, this is, I could take you through the rest of it, but it's kind of rinse and repeat. We get into module 4, picture changes, it changes slightly to keep the student on task. It's just a really clean kind of template. Very apparent heading styles, easy to read, I think, for students. It does very well on multiple devices, platforms. It's very adaptive. So that is the course that I created with Dr. Ennis and Dr. Gorney, and I appreciate them putting up with me over the past couple of weeks. Think just some other differences that maybe are newer to some NCU faculty. The drop boxes are put together now in categories of module, and the grade book is also put together in category of module as well. So a little bit more visual organization for both students and faculty as you navigate through the course. But that's pretty much all I have there. Thank you for letting me share. And thank you, Teresa and Laura, for all the hard work.
Melanie, that's great. Thank you for sharing. It looks really, really great. Yeah.
And Alex too. These are some of the first courses. So big thank you.
I think it's also probably worth noting that this is like the first part of an iterative process, right? We're right now just trying to get both, as we move towards the merger, right? We're going to have to get both sides kind of looking coherent. And so this is, you can see how that's happening, and it'll be very easy to kind of merge the end state there. But part of our work has to be in getting us there. And then as we're moving some of our existing courses into that state, there are opportunities once we have more of our courses in this much cleaner, more easily navigable format, we're going to also be able to play around with even more forms of engagement. So I don't want you to think that like this is the be all end all. This is an incredible step forward. It's just really exciting to see. And then we'll keep kind of moving forward from there. It's a great tour, great showcase, guys.